In this video, learn how to make a high-efficiency propane forge. Most of the parts can be obtained locally, especially if you have a pottery supply place near you. The forge can reach very high temperatures and can be used for knife making, glass making, or general blacksmith work. This is a very much improved forge compared to my coffee can forge video if you saw that on my channel. For the body of the propane forge, I'm going to use this portable air tank. I picked this up quite some time ago for this very specific purpose. It was on sale, it was pretty cheap. So I'm going to sacrifice this for the body. Now the first few minutes of this video, don't follow exactly what I do. Watch the whole video, and then if you decide to build one, only use the parts that are applicable, that make sense, because I'm including the video that my mistakes, just so you could see what I did wrong, and I had already shot the video. Now what I ended up doing was I cut off the end of the tank, and I was going to make a door, but that I realized wasn't the correct approach. So just watch the video and you'll see where I ended up, and it'll become very apparent what part to make the cuts on the tank. So enjoy. Okay, so I had to make a slight modification. Instead of making a door, I've decided to tack weld this back on to this. So I'm just going to weld that in. So don't cut this off like I did. I was thinking about making a door, but that's just complicating. It's more moving parts. So what I'm going to do, weld this back on, and then I'm going to open up both ends. So on this end here, I'm going to cut out both ends and then fill it with the wool and the brick. Just making it open like this is a little easier to work with, and it just simplifies the design. So, and then what I used to trace it was I just had a pot here that was the right circumference, and I just used a marker and marked it all the way around. So next I'm going to use a zip cut and cut these out, tack weld that back on, and then we'll put wool in this and we're ready to go again. Okay, I got the two ends cut out. I've enlarged them. I've welded back on this side. So here are the two plates that I had cut out. So I had my original holes here and here, and then just the two ends that I've cut out to make it a little bit bigger. I won't need those anymore. So it's nice and open. So I'm gonna next figure out how to get the Firebricks in there. So I got some Firebricks for the base, for the floor of the forge, and I need to tap some holes in this 2-inch nipple. So it's just a regular pipe nipple. I'm going to tap 4 holes in here so it can hold the propane torch, this guy here, so I can hold it in place once it's in the forge. And I'm going to cut out a hole here and then weld this on. I don't have a hole saw the right size for this, so I'm going to just drill some holes all the way around the perimeter of the hole, Dremel it out, and then weld this nipple in place. So I've drilled 4 holes all the way around this now, and I have a 1032 tap. I'm going to tap this hole so that I can put 4 screws, bolts, all the way around so I can tighten it around the burner. So what I have done now is I have some Firebrick in here for the floor of the forge. This stuff is I think rated up to over 2000 degrees Fahrenheit. It's pretty light. I cut so that 2 bricks would fit in, and then I cut 4 pieces to raise it up above the floor of the forge itself. And I'm going to cement it down using this high temperature stove and furnace cement, and it's rated up to 2700 degrees Fahrenheit, so it should be more than adequate. And so I'm just going to spread some on just to cement everything in place, and it just kind of holds it in. And then I'm going to go cut the wool and install the wool blanket inside here. So what I have here is the ceramic blanket. When I cut this, I'm going to wear my P100 respirator, and I'm cutting it inside, and I'm going to vacuum up all the ceramic fibers after I'm done, because this stuff isn't so great for your lungs. But it's not good to have anything in your lungs, to be frank. So I made some measurements around the circumference of the forge, and I landed on I need 27.5, I believe, or 28 inches around, and it's going to be I'm going to cut it down 14.5 down here, which is the length of the forge, of the cylinder. So I'm going to do that on the floor of the garage here. And I also have this ceramic board too. I've had this from a couple years ago, and I'm going to cut out some ends to use as backing plates on the forge. But first I'm going to cut this wool blanket. So I'm going to stick on a respirator and grab a sharp utility knife and have at it. Okay, so what I've done, I also wore gloves because this stuff is like insulation, it'll make you itchy. And I'm gonna go rinse off now with some cold water because cold waters will keep your pores closed. If you use hot water, your pores will open up, and these fibers, just like fiberglass insulation, will get in there and it'll make you itch. So, just a little tip. So, I made it a little long, so I cut it out a bit more once I got it into the forge, and then I made it fit with the brick. So I put the brick in, and then I cut out another piece. I just cut it a little long, and then I just kind of cut off more and more until I got it to fit. So I rolled it up, fit it in as you saw, and it's looking pretty good now. Next, I'm going to probably put some of that fiberboard in and make a back on it. So I'm going to close up the back because it's fairly open. So I'm going to close that down so it's just a little bit smaller, so I don't lose as much heat. And then I'm going to cover it with some refractory. I need to poke a hole inside here, so I'm going to use the knife and just cut a hole there so I can get the forge burner in right here. Just taking some saran wrap here and just tracing out just the opening here so I can transpose it easily to the fiberboard. I'm going to probably cut this out on a piece of cardboard or foam board, just so that I can do a test fit before I actually cut a piece of the ceramic board. So I have a piece of like just sacrificial foam here, foam board, and I'm going to trace it out. I'm going to lay it on this. So this here is 1-inch thick fiber board, ceramic fiber board, and I traced out the template that I had for the exhaust port, the exhaust wall at the back, and now I'm going to just cut it out. It's easy enough to cut out, just use a knife and just like the wool, just cut that out. I won't bother to show that, and then I'll install that into the forge. Okay, I got this all cut out now. Fiber board. Next, I'm just going to friction fit this into the exhaust part of the forge. So what I've done is I've cut out this plate that I'm going to use to stabilize the wool board the ceramic fiber board to the forge. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to do that. I have this angle bracket which will be welded onto this so it holds it. And I cut out this inside part here because what I want to do is make the hole of the forge smaller, but I can't just use metal because the metal will overheat. I need to insulate it with some wool, and that's what the wool board will be for, kind of very similar to what I did in the back. But I want to make this removable. So what I will do is, up here I have this, I've tapped out this piece of square stock, and then I have this piece of bar stock here which will fit in, which then I can tighten down and hold, and if I need to remove it I can loosen these and take this out. So I'm going to weld that up onto the top here, and then this bar will be welded onto this here like that, and then it can move back and forth like that, so it's removable. Okay, so I have this all welded up, this brace now that's going to hold a piece of wool board that I cut out. So I cut out a piece of ceramic wool board, and it's going to sit here like this, and then this is going to be screwed to the wool board. So the wool board will be like that, and then I got drilled some holes. I got some coarse thread screws that I'm going to screw in here later. But I'm not going to do that right now, but I just wanted to show you how this is going to work. And then this piece that I've welded up here and tapped some screw holes will just hold it in place, right like that. So that'll constrict the opening, shrinking it down, but if I need access to the inside of the forge to do maintenance, I can just take the screw out and remove this. So I'm going to have to stabilize the wool next so that the fibers don't become airborne once I fire up the forge. So what I'm going to use for that is, I mentioned before, I'm going to use this stuff here. It's called ITC 100 HT, and it is made by International Technical Ceramics, hence the ITC. So it comes as a paste. So what I'm going to do with this is I've already mixed some up, and I've mixed some up and created a slurry. So this slurry, you mix it according to the spec sheet. You mix it 1 part and I think 2 parts to 1. So 2 parts of this stuff to 1 part water, or basically I think it's 1 part and 50% water. So I've just mixed it up so it's a slurry, and then I'm going to use it and apply it. But I'm going to have to set it up on the floor so I can reach my hand down and do that. So I'll do that next. Okay, I have it all coated now. I'm going to let it dry and see how it comes out, and I might have to put another coat on. And here I have a little additional light on it so you can kind of see what it looks like in there. It's all coated there, so it's all good. The next thing I'm going to do is, now that this is set up a bit, the ITC 100, is I'm just going to test fit this and put these screws in to hold it in place. So again, I have some coarse threaded screws here, and I'm just going to screw this into so now if I loosen this, this is completely removable. I am going to eventually coat this with the ITC 100, but for now I'm going to get ready to touch up any spots that I might have missed and just make sure I got a coat of ITC 100 on all the surfaces. So this is the back of the forge, and I've mixed up some of this high temperature stove and furnace cement that I used to glue or cement down these Firebricks. And what I did was I just diluted down some of it with water until it became this slurry, very similar to the ITC 100, and I'm just going to use it to seal up the back of the forge. This doesn't get really any direct heat, but I would like to seal it up to prevent the ceramic fibers from becoming airborne, so you don't breathe them in. So this should work okay. If not, it's not a big deal if this doesn't work, but I think it should work just fine. And I believe this cement is silica based, so that's what gives it the high temperature refractory properties, I believe. If you have trouble getting ITC 100, you just order it online. That's the only way I was able to get it, but if you find it too expensive or you just want to experiment, another option is possibly this could work for sealing up a forge, the inside of the forge. I haven't tried it myself, but it's probably okay. It says on the container it can withstand temperatures up to 2700 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's well within the range of the forge. I might build a smaller forge out of a coffee can again. If you haven't checked out that video, check that one out. And I have some leftover wool, and maybe I'll experiment and see how that works using this cement instead of the ITC 100, because this stuff here is very readily available. I got this locally, just at the hardware store. So this is the ITC 100 in paste form, and I mixed up a little bit more of it to finish off the front of the forge. So I just added some more water. I added some in here, and then I just stirred it around until it became this slurry again, just like I did before, if I didn't show you earlier. So I have a brush, and I'm going to just apply it to the front of this panel now, just to finish this off, and let this dry, and it'll be ready to fire. I might just touch up with some high heat paint along all the metal, just so that it doesn't rust after I'm done this. So the last thing I have to do is to install the propane burner into the forge, and you can, if you don't know or you don't have one of these burners, you can learn how to build one of these off of my channel, or you can look up online a raw reel burner. I have another version of this, but this is a modified version that I made that has a choke that goes back and forth like this to constrict the airflow. But I quite like this design because it's compact. So what I'm going to do is just stick it in here and just have it so that it ends up just entering the chamber of the forge. And now tightening down these screws on the burner itself, or I should say these bolts. And the way I have this burner installed is I have it a bit more of an angle going in so that it swirls around inside. You can experiment to see what works best for you, but there it is mounted. And then I'll just show you the inside. So the inside there, you can just see that it's protruding into the chamber of the forge. Hopefully it will focus in there. And that hopefully should work pretty good. So there it is, all installed, tightened down. I might have to just adjust the angle a tiny bit more, but that's ready to go. So I'm just going to let everything cure up completely, or I should say harden. Let the water evaporate out of the ITC 100, and then I'm going to fire it up and show you it in operation. I just want to take a moment and just mention the final sizes of everything and the size of the actual forge container air tank that I used, because I don't think I gave those dimensions. So for the restrictor plate for the opening, I have about 3¼ inches in diameter, and that was sized so that the tongs, the blacksmith tongs, could easily fit in and out, so I could manipulate without damaging the wool. So that plate there to restrict the opening, and the actual sizing, the actual size of the tank is 10 inches in diameter, and it's in length it is 14 and a half in length, and adding 2 inches of Kaowool. So I added 1 inch and then another inch to make it 2 inches thick. Gives me an opening, and including these bricks here are 1 inch each, gives me an opening of 4.5 in diameter for the opening. So that's pretty good. That's a good size. I found this chamber heats up really quickly and it maintains heat, and also with the Kaowool, the side of the chamber doesn't, with 2 inches, takes a really long time to get really hot. I found after 10 minutes of use I could put my hand on the side of the chamber and it wasn't an issue burning my hand or anything like that. So those are the dimensions. Here I am lighting the forge with a long barbecue lighter. I placed the lit lighter right against the nozzle of the burner inside the forge. You don't want to turn on the propane and then light the forge. That's not good. You could have a big boom. The forge heated up really quickly. As you can see, the chamber is already starting to glow. This is around after about a minute. The forge is almost up to operating temperature. It's really starting to get hot now. Here you can see the propane burner protruding from the forge. I think it's a bit long, so I may modify it so it's shorter or use a rod and reel style burner, but for now it works great. Here's a close-up view of inside the chamber. It's really starting to glow now. The propane burner has been shut down now to turn off the forge. It takes a while for it to cool down. As you can see, it's still really glowing. And I should also mention the outside of the forge is just warm and it was cool enough to touch. So this concludes the building of the propane forge. If you want to learn how to build the propane burner, check out that video as well. So stay tuned to my channel and consider subscribing if you like this video, and I'll have more videos to come in the future, possibly with this forge or other cool projects that I have in the hopper.